When you're ready to rise, you'll get up and do something. Most people think rising means changing their circumstances. It does not. Rising begins the moment you can no longer tolerate who you have been. There comes a point when staying the same feels heavier than growth. Not because everything around you is collapsing, but because something inside you has outgrown your current level of thinking, reacting, and tolerating. That discomfort is not punishment. It is awareness. It is the signal that a shift is taking place within you. Before your income changes, your identity shifts. Before your environment adjusts, your standards rise. Before your results move, your internal discipline strengthens. Real elevation begins within. You will know you are ready to rise when reflection turns into action. When you stop talking about change and start making decisions. When you no longer need inspiration because conviction has taken over. Growth often starts as irritation. It starts as restlessness. It starts as a quiet refusal to continue operating beneath your capacity. The difference between those who rise and those who remain is simple. One group feels the tension, the other responds to it. Most people misread that stage. They think they need motivation. They think they need new circumstances. They think they need someone to notice them. What they actually need is alignment. Alignment between who they say they are becoming and how they are currently behaving. Inner transformation is not dramatic. It is disciplined. It is the daily decision to respond differently. Emotional mastery is not about suppressing emotion. It is about governing it. It is about choosing your response instead of reacting from habit. When you are ready to rise, you stop letting frustration dictate your tone. You stop letting comparison dictate your pace. You stop letting fear dictate your timing. You begin observing yourself instead of defending yourself. That shift alone changes your trajectory. Renewed perspective follows emotional discipline. Instead of asking, "Why is this happening to me?" you begin asking, "What is this preparing me for?" Instead of seeing delay as rejection, you see it as refinement. Instead of seeing pressure as opposition, you see it as strengthening. Rising does not require force. It requires release. You release the identity that needed validation. You release the patterns that kept you reactive. You release conversations that reward small thinking. You release habits that contradict your stated goals. The same fears that held you yesterday cannot follow you into tomorrow unless you carry them. Emotional mastery means you stop rehearsing the thoughts that weaken you. You stop narrating your limitations. You stop explaining why you cannot move. You move. But understand this. Rising costs something. It costs familiarity. It costs comfort. It may cost access to people who preferred the older version of you. Not everyone will celebrate your growth. Some will question it. Some will misunderstand it. Some will resist it. Emotional stability means you do not shrink to preserve comfort. You remain steady without becoming defensive. You stay consistent without becoming loud. You allow your growth to speak through your standards, not your announcements. Elevation also requires endurance. You will not always feel momentum. You will not always see immediate evidence. There will be stretches where progress feels slow. Emotional discipline keeps you stable during those stretches. It keeps you focused when nothing external is clapping for you. That stability is what separates temporary excitement from lasting transformation. The shift within demands honesty. Are you resisting growth because it is uncomfortable or because it exposes your inconsistencies? Are you holding on to comfort because it feels safe or because it protects you from accountability? When the internal shift becomes real, your external behavior changes quietly. Your standards rise, your boundaries strengthen, your words become measured. You do not chase validation, you attract alignment, you do not argue for respect, you operate from it. This is where wealth, wisdom, and winning intersect. Wealth begins with internal order, wisdom begins with self-awareness, winning begins with disciplined execution. None of those start externally, they start within. Many people want elevation without internal restructuring. They want larger results with smaller thinking. They want increased influence with undeveloped emotional control. That mismatch creates stagnation. Rising requires congruence. Your thinking, your standards, and your actions must agree. You are ready to rise when silence feels productive instead of empty, when discipline feels stabilizing instead of restrictive, when correction feels instructive instead of offensive. These are signs that the shift within has begun. Everything you have experienced has been building capacity. The disappointments built discernment. The delays built patience. The pressure built endurance. Nothing was wasted. It was shaping you for a higher level of responsibility. But capacity without response changes nothing. Most people reach awareness and stop there. They recognize the shift, they feel the tension, they even talk about growth, but awareness without execution becomes another form of procrastination. You can understand your patterns and still repeat them. You can see your potential and still underperform. Insight alone does not change outcomes. Action does. The shift within becomes visible the moment you alter your behavior. Not your intentions, not your declarations, your behavior. You change how you spend your time. You change what you tolerate. You change how quickly you make decisions. You stop negotiating with comfort. There is a version of you that already knows what needs to happen next. The delay is rarely confusion. The delay is hesitation. You know which conversation needs to happen. You know which boundary needs to be set. You know which habit needs to end. Rising begins when you stop waiting to feel ready and start acting aligned. Emotional mastery shows up in the smallest moments. It shows up when you choose discipline over distraction, when you respond calmly instead of reacting impulsively, when you finish what you said you would finish. These decisions look small, but they compound. Over time, they create stability. Stability creates confidence. Confidence creates momentum. And momentum changes everything. When the shift within is real, you stop seeking constant validation. You stop explaining your growth to people who are comfortable where they are. You stop shrinking to maintain access. You start building structures that support who you are becoming. That is when wealth becomes possible. Not just financially, but mentally and emotionally. You cannot build external wealth on internal chaos. You cannot sustain winning if your emotions control your decisions. The work within protects the results outside. If you are feeling that internal push, do not dilute it. Do not distract yourself with busyness. Sit with it long enough to understand it, then move. Rising is not dramatic. It is decisive. The shift within becomes powerful when you act on it. One better decision, one stronger boundary, one disciplined response at a time. When you are ready to rise, you will not wait for permission. You will not wait for applause. You will not wait for perfect conditions. You will get up and do something. Do not announce your rise. Demonstrate it. Let your pricing reflect it. Let your schedule reflect it. Let your conversations reflect it. Let your standards reflect it. Inner transformation is not loud. It is consistent. It is steady. It is intentional. Master your perspective. Master your reactions. Master your focus. That is emotional mastery. That is renewed thinking. That is the shift within. Rise quietly. Rise confidently. Rise consistently. Listen, learn, then leverage the shift.